Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Leap Taken. I'm Mika. Here at Leap Taken, I talk all things witchy, craft related, law of attraction, manifesting, esoteric, and everything else in between. And welcome to the video, welcome to the channel. Today, we're going to be talking about After Death, a Cottage Witch's Guide to Grief, Ancestors, and Honoring a Christian Elder. This is a very specific video. Everyone may not get it. It might not really apply to you, especially if you're not somebody, in this position. But since most of us have elders that are Christian, this may apply to actually a good amount of people, just that part. But hopefully, my point is sharing all this is one. I like to actually share my real life things. Some things I kind of, I bring to the conversation because I just think it's, sometimes it's just on my heart to talk about a certain topic, or I just had it planned. Hi, Insky. But in this one, I like this channel to be reflective of my actual practice. So this is what I'm going through. We also happen to be in October, and during this time in October, I mean, if you're practicing at all, you're understanding the concept of Samhain or Day of the Dead. Death is kind of a thing right now. Even if you're not really approaching it, even in our Halloween, like if you're just doing Halloween, what do you think the skeletons were for? When people say haunted, what did you think they meant? Haunted with what? Ghosts, the dead. It's all about the dead. So, and since having a Christian elder, she was in a death cult, so it all kind of tracks. So I feel like the tone today will be grounded. Let me bring it back. Reflective, warm, sacred, but very conversational. Because I think it's something that you're going to deal with eventually. Because a lot of us have an auntie, a mom, a dad, somebody, uncle that's Christian. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Okay. On October 6th this year, 2025, I lost my grandmother. She was almost 91. She would have been 91 next month in November. We laid her to rest on October 16th. So I've done some traveling. Obviously, I'm back. Grief changes your rhythm. Grief changes your rhythm. It shifts the air in your home. I'm not even just talking about, because I'm speaking as a cottage witch now. It changes the air in your home. As witches, we often talk about death in these mystical ways, kind of what I was getting at. But when it touches you personally, the craft has to meet the real world. So today, I'm wanting to share how I, as a cottage witch, and if you want to say neo-pagan woman, walk through the days after death. How we can honor our loved ones, especially when they came from a Christian background, and we don't practice. This isn't about converting or crossing boundaries. It's about love, memory, and magic that transcends religion. All right, so if you've lost someone this year, drop a candle, little candle emoji in the chat so we can all hold space together. So let me get my candle emoji together. Can I put a candle emoji in here? Food. Let me see. Oh, yeah, I found it. I'll put one in. 'Cause duh, I just lost somebody. That's what I'm talking about. All right. So drop your candle emoji if you've lost someone this year. Again, the whole point is just to hold space. This is a virtual thing. Obviously, we're on the internet. It doesn't lessen the energies. It doesn't lessen holding space either. All right, so understanding the threshold. When someone dies, energy doesn't just vanish. The cottage witch, like me, understands that the home itself holds echoes. Their voice, their scent, their habits. Um, the first thing I do, and I did, the first thing I do is tend the space. So I open the windows for a moment, and you can speak softly. Your body rests, but your spirit is free. Go in peace, knowing you're loved. Now, doing this can clear some stagnant energy, the stagnant grief energy, and lets the spirit know it can move. It's not an exorcism, it's respect. So I do want to just give a little bit. So during my trip back home, for the funeral, I had the privilege of being able to stay in the room that my grandmother stayed in at my mother's home, and I slept in her bed. And I had the best night's sleep that I've had in a long time. I was extremely comfortable. That, first of all, the mattress was perfect. It was extremely firm, everything you would expect. But and I slept with the window cracked because that's, in Jersey, so different weather, different, everything's different. But anyway, yeah, I slept with the window cracked, and I just felt, the room was as she left it before she went to the hospital. So I just was in this space that she had occupied. Nothing changed. Nothing was changed. My mom hasn't touched it. So it was just like a privilege to be able to have that. And I felt like this additional connection to her, and opening the window, because it's not my house, but opening the window like I did, which I had. So I'm a woman of a certain age, it was hot. Opening that window was just letting, to me, just like letting the air clear as well. So this was my way of sort of doing it in someone else's home, my mother's home, not in my room, but respecting my ways and, honoring her. So I want to give some instruction. So in a situation, in what I'm talking about, if, let's say, like, so once I'm home, not there because I didn't have any of these supplies, but what at home, and I'm just going to show props. So, you light a white candle. So we have a tea. In my case, a tea light is fine. You can do a larger one, but I like a tea light because it kind of, I could put everything in it, and I could literally just sit here and be in a space of remembrance and just thinking and meditating and doing all those things as this burns. Um, Add a little bit of olive oil or avocado oil. I am a fan. I just get the Great Value brand avocado oil, by the way. I cook with this as well. But I have been using more of avocado oil as my base more so than olive, but I know olive is easier to get access to. Um, or rosemary oil. If you don't have a rosemary essential oil, again, Great Value, rosemary, if you don't have it, and mix it with your olive or avocado oil as well. Um, I can't say this enough. If you are a practicing witch, stay ready so you don't have to get ready. That's why we do all the things. We making oils, anointing candles, have candles ready to go because you never know. So anyway, so that's, start with that. Say the name of the deceased once with love, once with gratitude, and once with release. Let the candle burn, and you can tidy up around the home or the space, especially if and so it wasn't my home, but I'm home. So I would say, like, I refresh my ancestor altar over there, for instance. So you could tidy, do a little dusting, straighten stuff up, stuff like that. um Movement brings grounding. That's why I'm just telling you to tidy. So I will say this, as a Black American witch, these steps, it seems simple, but this step connects to older African traditions of honoring transition. So we speak to our dead. We don't just speak about them. We make room for their journey. So these little steps of lighting the candle, using a specific oil, using a specific herb, tidying up, these are just rituals honoring transition, right? Okay. So let's talk about honoring a Christian ancestor when you're not Christian. So my grandmother's faith, again, was Christian through and through. I was surrounded by a lot of, religious things in her space. She had a favorite Bible scripture that she had written out. Her beautiful handwriting on a piece of paper is absolutely beautiful. It's right on her table where she left it. I looked at it. It's preserved. I didn't want to, for my mom's, grief and her connection. I left. I didn't touch anything. Um, but yeah, she's very much Christian, or it was. Yeah, I'm struggling with the tense on present tense, or I'm struggling. Anyway, but I don't follow Christianity anymore, is my point. But I still honor her spirit within that framework to a degree, because her faith carried her, especially in these last years. It shaped her resilience. So when I light her candle, I include a symbol that mattered to her. So it could be a small cross from her necklace, um, that sits beside a rose quartz heart or something like that. I don't pray to her God, but I let that symbol remind me of her peace. Um, you don't have to mimic. You don't have to mimic their religion to honor what gave them strength. You honor the vibration, not the doctrine. Does that make sense? All right, so um here's some ideas. So you can use their favorite gospel song as background while you cook or clean. The sound itself is an offering. Did you know that? Add one item to your ancestor altar that reflects their faith. So it's a hymn book you could do. You could do a church fan, a Sunday hat pin, something along those lines. Um, and then speak out loud. Say something like, your faith built the road that carried me here. Rest knowing I walk it in my own way. I was thinking these types of things to say because I want you want to be respectful. Okay. So I'm going to start talking about ancestor altars and things like that. But I want to share a thing with you guys first off. I know better, but I guess I wasn't doing better. So I thought, even though I know when a soul crosses over in transition, I don't know everything, but the general consensus amongst, at least from the people I come from, is that there's a process and it takes time. So veneration as an ancestor, you're not jumping right into it right after someone has passed on. There's a process. Now you can set up an altar by all means with and that's more or less you're kind of preparing for the eventual thing. But I wouldn't expect a lot of interaction at when they first go. A lot of us. Uh, Let me start over. When you first transition, when a person dies, a lot of people talk about having a connection through dream visuals, a feeling. They can smell it, like they're getting a message, like within the days or up to a week or so after they die, like in that short period, that short window. And then a lot of times people just don't, there's nothing. You can, if it's blood, you really feel the absence. They're not existing on this plane. Like I can feel the absence. I feel it in my something, in my blood. I don't know. I feel it. I can feel it. We all feel it. I don't know when the time is. It's just it just is. We just know, especially those who do this type of work. You just know when it's the time to begin venerations. If you don't know, that's when people usually reach out to somebody who does know, through readings and things like that, a psychic medium, whatever, your cup of tea is, and then you can kind of start working and know. And that there's nothing wrong with that. That's how it used to be. There was a person who knew this was their expertise, and it was perfectly fine to go to them and find out when, and certain rituals that you would do and how you would set up the altar and all that sort of stuff. There's nothing wrong with needing someone else. In the past, it might have been somebody within your family, but the colonizers, ruin all that for us. But moving on. Um, I attempted to set up today. I saw a picture that I took with her when I went to go see her in 2024. So I was going to print out that picture and set something up. And that picture did not print. I'm going to show y'all what happened. First of all, I didn't even print it on the right paper. I just wanted to see. I don't know. I was just playing. And this is what printed. I ripped this page out for something else because I don't waste paper. But it just cut it out like there's more to this. This is how it printed. So it just printed like this. This is just me ripping. And I said, you know what? That's what I get. It wasn't my time to even attempt to do this. And I realized I was trying to rush something, and I know better, but it's different when it's personal. So I was trying to rush it, and that let me know hard stop. Don't do that. Don't do that. It's not time. She is transitioning. It's a process. I will one day, we'll all learn the process at some point, but it's not my time to do that. So I'm being respectful, and I just stopped. Um, with that being said, African American ancestral practices. So, in our lineage, death is not goodbye. Honestly, it's communion. African American folk spirituality, from hoodoo to root work to ancestral reverence, teaches that the dead are never gone. They become helpers, protectors, whisperers. My grandmother joins the chorus of four mothers now. So I will pour out libation with water, maybe a bit of Florida water mixed in. It's real simple. It's real symbolic. So and I'm just getting props, a little Florida water. And I like maybe having something like this. You can mix it in a bottle like this. Right now, this particular one is empty. But yeah, I like to use something like this. You can use a little moon water, and it depends. Now, for my grandmother, what I would do, because she really loves sunflowers, so I'm thinking solar energy, so I would use sun water and a little Florida water added to it for her, and pour it out. So you can do this daily. So I would set up a batch and just pour a little bit out every day as part of my routine into the ground, into the ground. So that means I got to go outside in the morning. If you have a little flower patch, or a little dirt or something like that, just a little drop. But anyway, you can also get a bowl and pour it in there as well. You can say something like, "You have crossed the river. May cool waters surround you. May your hands guide mine in every spell I craft." Something like that. Um, I feel comfortable saying that, even though she didn't practice, because I feel like, again, the transitioning into the ancestral realm, at some point she'll be ready to receive that. Her spirit will be ready to receive that. But I assume everything takes time. So I'm going to here's my hints, my suggestions. So again, pour fresh water daily on you can do it on your ancestor altar, into like a bowl. And then take that water like at the end of the night or the next morning, and you can dump that into the ground. For about 9 days after the burial, you can do this, or some version of just pouring libations. Another is offer something simple: a biscuit, a flower, a cup of tea. On the ninth day, you can replace offerings, maybe with a white candle, and say your road is clear. And this is just you acknowledging this transitional area that the spirit is in, the deceased is in. And it's just reverence. It's just reverence. You're not asking for protection. You're not doing all that. We're not, because that spirit's not ready. So this is just the acknowledgement of the whole thing, the transition. Another thing is, I want to talk about cottage witch rituals for grief. I am a practicing cottage witch, if you didn't know. So grief needs a home. And as cottage witches, we make that home sacred. So let's talk about cleansing the home after the funeral, especially if it's at your home or something like that, but it's not. So I'm carrying the energy into my home. Let me put this in perspective. I traveled. I went to a funeral. I stayed in her bed. That energy is with me. My grief is with me. I live in my home, sleep in my bed, inhabit this space that is emanating off of me and then going into the spirit and the energy of the home. So now that I'm home, cleanse, protect, and soothe. So I'm going to use that with maybe a simmer. A simmer pot is perfect for this. So rosemary, bay, and a little cinnamon is perfect. As simple as easy. Let the steam carry your intentions or prayers through every room. Now, because I'm extra, I'm giving you like a very simple approach. I didn't take that approach. I'm also very much into aromatherapy as well. And I wanted sweet smells because my grandma loves sweets. Also, I wanted to honor the season that we're going in, the season that we are in of autumn, fall, and things like that. So I have a lot of cinnamon scents in the home right now. I have something else where sweet, a scents in the home. And my trade off, instead of a simmer pot, I just have the scent emanating. It's oils and things like that, but it's in the kitchen burning, but not on the stove. So it's still in the hearth, in my opinion. But yeah, so I took that approach instead. Another thing is a comfort jar. Um, or yeah, the comfort jar. So you can combine like chamomile, some salt, maybe a personal note or a photo snippet, which shouldn't to do. Keep it near your bed. It's a charm for emotional healing. So this is something I'm working on actually today, because I realized I would like to have that. Just a small jar, which I have something ready to go for that purpose, and just because I had her I felt her in her bedroom and when I slept in her bed. So now that I'm home, yeah, I need that right now. So I'm doing a comfort jar, just so you know. I'm doing a different type of jar for a different reason for some other people, but that's another conversation for another day. Another thing is grief candle. So you can dress a white candle or even a black candle if you like. You can dress that with a little bit of lavender oil. A lavender essential oil is perfectly fine. And maybe a little rose petal, something like that. So you can put the oil in there and, roll it around on a rose petal, just little rose petals like this. And you can also carve their initials. So I could carve her initials. I could just write grandmom if I want. um, or you can just put the word peace and light it when the waves hit the hardest. These rituals do not erase pain that I'm talking about. They don't erase pain. They create they create sacred rhythm for healing. Okay, I, grief is hard. It feels like someone opened up a portal in your soul that you weren't even aware could be open, and it's leaking in a way, and you can't stop it, and it physically hurts. Also, I can see someone dying of a broken heart because it feels painful. um you gotta I'm I look at it like the ocean, and when those big waves of grief come, I let it wash over me, and I try to just breathe, like just brace myself for it. And once it goes over me, just like in the ocean, and just float with it. Just flow with it, and just tears, all of it, whatever it is that I need to do. And then it calms down again, and I keep going until the next big wave. And that's my approach. So I'm going to talk about the witch's view of the afterlife. So, from a pagan perspective, I see death as a return to the ancestors, to the earth, to spirit. My grandmother may have imagined heaven, right? I imagine her in a warm ancestral place, maybe a garden, still wearing maybe a church hat or her Sunday finest, laughing at me burning incense and lighting candles instead of singing hymns, but still proud. Because ultimately, I know that she would want to be acknowledged and remembered. And there was no way I'm not going to give her what she wanted. Now, I'm going to give her that. She always like a little extra and special attention. So even though I'm not doing it her way, she'll be proud. The truth is, though, love doesn't care about theology, it crosses every veil. So, whatever afterlife she might have believed in, I honor her there, right? And I meet her halfway through candlelight memory. So, another another couple suggestions of reflection I want to talk about are journaling. So, a question you can ask, this is what I'm asking: what did this person teach me about endurance? And it's really apropos for my situation. What did this person teach me about endurance? So I will be writing about this. Um, yeah. What did she teach me about endurance? That's just one question. There's a couple ways you can ask that question. Um, and you can add that lesson to your book of shadows under a section titled like ancestral wisdom. This is going in my copy of my hoodoo grimoire. Each Samhain, read those pages out loud and you'll feel them listening. So, this is also how you sort of build. I'm not coming to your journal every day. No, I'm talking about journal this. And then next Samhain, you would read that over. Isn't that beautiful being able to do something like that? Last year, I created out of a children's book about Merlin, something called My Dark Half of the Year Book of Shadows. And I have a page in there that includes my grandmother's deceased sister and her husband and their son, and my grandmother's daughter and son who had passed years ago. And it's crazy now. So to that, I need to add my grandmother's oldest sister, who was almost 100, and now my grandmother. Um, but I'm going to do all that in my hoodoo grimoire. I'm going to do it there instead of the dark half of the year. But I can use them both. I'm just happy I have it because this Samhain I have something else to look at. Stay ready so you don't have to get ready. Write your stuff down. Have these things set up. Set up an altar page in your books, so that you have something. Like, if unfortunately, like me right now, like a lot of my energy is into the grief, and it's a back and forth. It's not, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not controlling this. This is just happening whether I want to be grieving or not. Um, so it's hard to think of all these things and find the energy to want to do it when you really just want to be sad. Um, so having these things already for me is just adding her picture to it, just adding a simple tea light candle, because that's the energy that I have to do. It's just pouring out a little water, adding a little Florida water. These little tasks, these little rituals, may not seem like much, but it's all I can really muster up to do. And I just thought I'd share it for those who might be needing to do something similar. It's important to the person doing it, as is with all witchcraft and any magic that you're doing. It's important to you. It matters to you. The symbolism means something to you and to the deceased and their spirit. It's important to you. So just do those things. Don't worry about if it doesn't seem like it has that much of an impact. Yes, it does, because you make it so. Um, Losing someone isn't the end of love. It's just love reshaped. I'm learning that. My grandmother's faith was her magic. My magic is my faith. Somewhere between those truths, our spirits meet. So if you're grieving, let your craft hold you. I can't state that enough. I see a lot of, unfortunately, I've come across a lot of people. I realized witchcraft was all, it really was just aesthetics. It was fun and games. It was never that deep for them. And when tragedy, when grief, anything of that nature strikes, like they immediately abandon their craft. And it upsets me when I see that happen, because it's like your craft should support you. That's what I'm about in my mentorship program. Like, no, we're building a tradition, your tradition. Not mine, not what it's supposed to be, what it is for you, what it needs to be for you. um, that's important because life is going to life. We're human, and we're having a human experience as create as witches. I say creators. Well, yeah, technically witches are creators, right? I want to thank you all for holding space with me today or tonight, depending on when you're watching this. If this has helped you, or if you have your own rituals for honoring loved ones, feel free to share them in the chat or in the comments, because I think we all learn from each other. And I would just say until next time, please stay inspired, stay magical. And I'm going to start adding this, take the leap. So, another thing I just kind of want to point out to you is I talked about the hoodoo grimoire, which is behind that jar, which is setting up that I'm putting somebody in that hoodoo grimoire. I'm so petty. And then I have the witchy activity book available. All these things are available at my website, leaptaken.com. They're also available on Amazon and on the TikTok shop as well. So I appreciate you all. I will be back with a witchy review on Friday. We're going to be talking about some new oracle cards I got. So we're going to do an unboxing. I haven't even taken off the plastic wrap. We're going to be talking about these, the Comfy Cozy Witch Oracle. I've been, oh my God, I couldn't wait to get a hold of these. I had reviewed the books. I'll bring the book back out, which I believe I read that on Kindle. And then the author came up with the Oracle cards. And I can't wait to share this with you guys. Christopher John says, my magic work, confirmation on my apartment. Oh my God, in Santa Fe. I know what you're talking about. Okay. Yeah. Yes, it's all real. Yay. Congratulations. Okay, congratulations. I'm glad that it worked for you. I'm glad. Yeah, I'm super happy. I love when people talk about successful spells. I love when people share that. I know before it's done, you're sparking something. I think I want to do like just an entire video of like successful spells. Let's talk about the spells that worked, and maybe we'll do a separate one. But let's talk about the ones that didn't, or maybe I'll half and half it. I don't know, but thank you for sharing. I'm glad that it worked out for you. Yes, it really is all real. Sometimes, listen, we've been all practicing probably, even if it's just been 6 months, 3 months. You do get in, and you've been doing it like in that period of time. You've been doing it, the work, and there are moments you might sit there and be like, am I making this all up? Was this going to happen anyway? And then, you'll have like an interaction, supernatural interaction, paranormal interaction that will remind you, oh no, this is very real. No, it's not all in my head. And I love it when you have experiences that are like undeniable and then there's witnesses. That's all that always gets me. And it's not just you, there's other people there experiencing it with you. You're like, holy crap. Okay, so this is very real. You ever have a dream and you're someone that relatively close to you had the same dream? Like you were at the same place and you're both explaining what happened in the dream at the same time. I've had that experience a couple different times. That is like trippy, by the way. I don't care how long you've been practicing, because it's one thing when it's you and you, it's another thing when someone else is telling you about a dream you had and they're like in the other room or something like that. I've had that experience. Very trippy, very trippy. I'll end with this. When I first got acquainted with working with the goddess Hecate, she came to me as a dream as somebody I knew, but a little different. And she has come to me multiple times as that person, a little different, but the same person. Like that person, like a little bit like their face is a little bit more narrow, but somebody I trust. I didn't know that was a very common thing for Hecate or Hecate, depending on how you want to say it, to come to you as someone you trust. It doesn't matter the gender. That's not what it's about. They tend to she comes with a face of someone you know and you trust. So I did not know that. I had not worked with her. I was brand new into the whole thing. I hadn't really been working with too much God, like any deity, to be honest with you, up until that point. Not really, briefly, but not much. Yeah. It's one thing to dream that once. It's another thing to, weeks, months, a year late, like as time is going on, anytime she comes to me in a dream, she's appearing like that. That is trippy. I'm not a reoccurring dream type of person. not sustained like over years. Like I don't I that's not me. Um Prior to my grandmother passing on, whenever I dreamt of my ancestors, they appear as shadow people. That's along like humanoid figures made out of shadow. I don't know how else to explain it. Not anything to be, well, I guess if I didn't fear them, I didn't have a sense of fear. And my grandmother is always at a threshold. I've had multiple dreams. I've told my family members, we were just talking about this. My mom was like, "Yeah, you've always said that." I said, "I think she was always somebody who had one foot in, one foot out of a different a realm outside of ours, the spirit realm, because she's always was sitting at a doorway, not on the inside, on the outside." And my last one, she had a plate of food she was eating, and the spirits were all sitting at a table eating outside. And she looked at me and said, don't cross this threshold." And I didn't. And she was just eating away, just sitting there in her chair. She was sitting in a chair at the doorway. And that's just the more recent one that I had over a few years ago. That's the last one that I had with her in it like that. But I had had several others. She's always at the threshold, things like that. And yeah, I don't think that was by accident. I hadn't had many dreams like that growing up. It's not like a thing where I always saw that. The more I opened myself up in my practice, the more, you know what I mean? The more basically I stepped into being a witch, these dreams started coming. The more I started doing ancestor work and, reverence and setting up altars and communicating with them, then the dreams started coming. So if you are curious about working with ancestors and maybe you kind of been in now, you don't have a consistent practice, I would tell you ramp it up a bit, not too much, but ramp it up. Make a ritual of it, whether it's weekly, daily, whatever you're into. You could do it around moon rituals, things like that. And let's just pour into that a little bit more. Maybe dreams, maybe messages, maybe things like that. But that's basically acknowledge them. The more you acknowledge them, the more they will acknowledge you in a way where you will understand and build that communication. I hope this makes sense. I just felt like I needed to add that last bit on there about ancestral magic and connection. And it's not about asking them for anything, whether it's protection, whether it's for their attention. Try to make the focus remembrance and acknowledgement. Okay. Try not to think of it as a burden, a thing you have to do, like house cleaning or laundry. Don't look at it like that. Just look at it like, I mean, how often did you call that person when they were alive? Maybe you didn't call them enough. So this is your opportunity, you know what I mean, to maybe remember them a little more often than maybe you did in their living. It's an opportunity. If that's healing work for you as well, you could look at it like that. And if somebody that you every day and you talk to them, it's going to make sense to maybe take that approach. I would say hold off, especially when they first pass. You need to do your own work, and they're doing their ancestral transition. You need to do your own work. I would caution from as what I tried to do before, and I felt like I got smacked on the hand because the picture didn't even print. So I felt like a smack on the hand, like you know better. I said, y'all right, my bad. I'm doing too much too fast. Let me slow my roll. Let me let this woman get acclimated on the other side before I start coming in, trying to, have her back for myself. It don't work that way. So I'm gonna end it here. Thank you all for watching. I didn't know that the topics would go quite in this direction. That wasn't really my plan, but here we are. I'm an authentic person, so I'm going to speak authentically about my experiences as a witch. And yeah. So I wanted to share that because I think it's like I said, it fits the season, it fits the time. I wish I didn't have this personal experience right now to talk about, but it's part of the cycle of life. Death is inevitably going to come for us all. None of us are getting out of here alive. Yeah, so I'll end it there. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share. Go to my website, please, leaptaken.com. You can check out these services and the products that I offer. You can also watch my other YouTube channel, Magical Lifestyle, The Cottage Witch, which I felt like I just like abandoned over the last couple of weeks, but grief, funerals, and all. But I will get out my last video of my Samhain Halloween decorations over there if it's the last thing I do and get that video up. It's just editing. But yeah, that's all. All right. Thanks. Bye.